Hey, what's going on everybody? Today I'm going to be reviewing center caps and a custom OEM center cap option for your 11th gen Civic, specifically the FE1 Civic Si and the FE2 Civic Sport. So I own a 2024 Civic Si, and what sparked the motivation for this video is I also own a 2015 Civic Si sedan FB6, and on that vehicle I actually put custom center caps on it, which were actually center caps from Type-R 2017 and 2021 FK8. Okay, so on the 9th gen Civic Si, you could take the OEM center cap from a FK8, the OEM, red Type-R badge center cap right inside the Enki wheels for the 9th gen 14-15 Civic Si. Okay, so being that that was the option back then, I was like, hey, maybe I could do it again with the new 11th gen Si that I just got. So I was able to source the part number for the 11th gen Type-R center caps, which we will get into and review. So I was able to get them, but upon receiving them, I realized they aren't the same size. So the Si and the Civic Sport in the 11th generation both share the same wheel. The only difference between the two is the Sport has a polished, nice shiny finish, whereas the Si has a matte finish. Now, the Type-R shares the matte finish on the wheels with the Si. They both have a matte finish on the wheels. So I knew that, and that's why I was looking for the 11th gen specific Type-R center cap, and of course it didn't fit because the Type-R ones are a little bit bigger, actually being the same size as the FK8 and the 9th gen Si. So I think they caught on to being able to swap center caps, and they probably made the size different for the Sports and for the SIs to not be able to do what I did in the past, where I just took a FK8 center cap and put it on a 9th gen Si. So being that that is the case, what we are going to do is customize a OEM center cap. We are going to take the FL5 to 11th gen Type-R center cap, and we are going to mate it to the 11th gen Si or Sport if you have a Sport center cap. Okay, so that is what we are going to be doing. We're essentially going to be making a OEM custom center cap for the Sport or for the Civic Si, and that way you can have Type-R styled center caps with OEM parts on your car. As of right now, I only found one option for the 11th gen Si currently here in summer of 2024. This is the option right here, and although I don't hate it, I don't love it as well. I don't like the ring around it. I just not a fan of it. I think it kind of looks out of place with the ring. So if you like that option, that is out there, you can buy that option, and it does fit for the 11th gen Sport or Si wheels. However, I'm just not a fan of it, and how I'm going to go about it, you're going to be utilizing OEM parts. It's all going to be an original center cap really when it's all said and done, and you'll have Type-R style center caps on your Civic Sport or Si, guys. So let's get into it now. Alright guys, let's jump right into this. So what you're looking at here is a center cap from a FL5 2022 to 2024 Civic Type-R. Okay, so this is the Civic Type-R 11th gen center cap. As you can see, it is matte. As I mentioned in the beginning of the video, the Type-Rs do have a matte finish on the wheel, and just as the SIs do, and they have a matte finish center cap. So as I mentioned, these do not fit in the Sport style and Si style wheels. These are about 69 millimeters, 69-70 millimeters, and the Si and Sports are about 61-62. Okay, so these are about 69-70, and as I said, the Si and Sport are about 61-62, so they do not fit. So if you just took this, came over to your 11th gen, and tried to put them in, as you can see, they are too wide. All right, so do not fit, too big. The tabs are like right on the edge of where the center cap goes, so no bueno, do not fit. All right, so what we are going to do is customize these and take this red emblem out of the center cap and put it on 11th gen Sport Si style, correct size center cap. So what I have here is the Si center cap for the 2022-2024 11th gen. Okay, so that is the part number for the Si.
keep in mind the SI is a matte finish, Sport is a polished finish, so they do have two separate center caps. These are the matte, and then the Sport has the polished, and I will provide the part number for the Sport one so that you can do this if you have a Sport model. Okay, so for the SI, it's 44732 T38A01. Okay, that is the SI matte finish center caps. And then if you have a Sport, it's going to have the polished center caps, same size, same everything. The part number is going to be 44732 TVA A21. Okay, so that will be the center cap for your Sport models. Okay, so I want to go ahead, open this up, and then we'll compare and show you what we're going to do here. All right, guys, so here we go. Here is the OEM center cap for the SI, and same exact size for the Sport. If you notice, this is a matte finish, as I've mentioned a few times. For the SI, the Sport is going to be polished, but it's the exact same center cap. And even if you look at the back, they've made this hard. The part number on the back isn't the part number for these actual center caps. So it says 44732 TVA-A. Obviously that does not correspond with our part number here. And if you look on the back of the polished Sport ones, it has the same part number. So obviously the matte and the polished are two different center caps, yet they both have that 44732 TVA-A on the back. So that's how you know they're trying to hide these part numbers and not make this easy, in my opinion anyway, to do something like this. Okay, so that is the SI part number. We reviewed the Sport part number. I have a SI, so we will be doing the matte. Now, one thing I do want to note too, it doesn't really matter if you have a Sport or a SI, you can use the FL5, but if you want, you can use the FK8 2017 to 2021 Type-R center cap as well. It is absolutely identical to this, it's just polished. So really you could utilize the FL5 center caps as I'm doing, or you could utilize the first Type-R US spec FK8 center caps, same size, same everything, it's just matte versus polished. Okay, so you can use either one for this project, doesn't matter. If you think if you find the FK8's cheaper than the FL5s, I mean, go for it, it doesn't matter. Now, if we go back to the back of the 11th gen Sport and SI style center cap, as you can see, it has tabs. So you can pop that Honda emblem right out. Unfortunately, again, they got pretty fancy and, I guess made this harder for us trying to do something as of what I'm trying to do. You just can't pop the H emblem out of the Type-R style caps as you can with these. So these just have tabs. That Honda emblem pops right out. These are 3M'd onto the center cap. So again, it's not something that we could just pop off and pop into here. We got to do some custom work to make this work. So what I'm going to be doing is taking the Honda emblem out of the Type-R center cap, and we're going to take the Honda emblem out of our OEM center cap, and I'm going to take this and put it on here. All right, so that's really all we're doing. We're going to be utilizing the center cap for the size from the stock cap, and then we're going to be utilizing the Honda emblem from the Type-R onto our stock cap to get that Type-R look, and so they actually fit, guys. All right, so again, if you have an 11th gen SI 2022 to 2024, this is your OEM center cap. That is the part number right there with the matte finish. If you have a Sport 2022 to 2024, this is your OEM hubcap part number right here. Okay, and then you're going to need the Type-R style center cap for the red emblems. That's all we're going to be utilizing from these. We're not using the center cap itself. We're just taking the Honda emblem off and utilizing the emblem itself. If you want to get the FL5 matte finish, that is our part number right there. And as I said, the FK8 is identical, same exact center cap, size, everything, same emblem, absolutely identical. If you want to get the FK8, this is the part number right here. Doesn't matter, you can utilize the FL5 or the FK8. It just matters what side you have for the stock cap, being if you have a SI or a Sport. Okay, so there we go, guys. That is the comparison between the two center caps. So what we're going to be doing is mating that red Honda badge onto our OEM center caps. So let's go ahead and get into it. All right, guys, just for some reiteration here, this is my 9th SI FB6 here. OEM Enki wheels. As you see, I have the polished FK8 center cap in there. Direct fit, 69, 70 millimeter style. So just for reference, that is the FK8. It is identical to the FL5. It just has the matte finish. So the polished finish was the FK8, matte is the FL5, but the cap is the same, the emblem is the same, everything is identical, it is the same. So this is an OEM FK8 emblem and FK8 cap, as is this is an OEM FL5. As you can see, same size, same emblem, same everything. I'll even one up it and take one of the emblems from the FL5 that we already took out. So here's one of the emblems removed from the FL5. Look at that. It's absolutely identical, same size. So that's just for reference. You can utilize the FK8 center caps to do this as well. They are identical to the FL5, just a polished finished instead of a matte. So same size, same Honda emblem, virtually same everything between these two caps with the Type-R. All right, guys, so I brought you here to my little ghetto workbench, which is actually just a Rubbermaid container. All right, so works for me though. It's enough space and, you know, good layout for me to show you what we need to look at. Okay, so as you can see, we've already got a lot of this underway. Now I will be reviewing the entire process of cutting and making and creating the center cap on camera with you, but I just want to do a little bit of reviewing prior, just for a better understanding of what we're doing once we start going into the actual making and creating and cutting of this center cap. Now, as mentioned, you need the OEM center cap and you need the Type-R center caps. Okay, so as you can see, I already have the Honda emblem popped out of the OEM center cap. Now, you might be able to pop this out. I decided to grind the tabs off. It was fighting me a bit, trying to pop them out with like a small flathead or, you know, anything, putting some pressure on it. It just didn't want to come out. So I literally grinded the tabs off. All right, but we're not using it. We don't need it. It doesn't matter. We just need this. And if you grind the tabs off from the back, it leaves it perfectly intact, no issues, and the front of the cap is perfect. So there is our matte finish OEM cap for our SI. And as I mentioned, that is not going to be used. All we are doing is taking a Type-R emblem and we're putting it on top of it. Okay, so there we go. This is essentially what the final product is going to look like. It is extremely tight fit around those edges. We are going to have to get it absolutely perfect, but that is what you're looking at as your final result. I don't have any fully 3M'd on and created in 100% yet, but that is just a little sneak peek of what it will look like. Okay, so I want to go ahead and review real quick how we get to this point. So if we look over here, you see some cut up Type-R emblems. Okay, this is the last one I did. You can notice that I cut these two right here. Okay, what I would not suggest is prying these out. Yes, they are 3M. Yes, you can heat it up and it will loosen the 3M, but trying to pry these out in this tight little crevice with the smallest of anything, even a plastic razor blade, it's not going to work. Okay, you're going to jeopardize the edge of this badge, and you need that edge to be perfect because it's going to be seen on the center cap. It's not indentated in as it is on the OEM Type-R style caps. We are going to have it actually not flush. It's going to be sitting up top on the cap like that. So you can't have these edges all mangled up and chewed up because it's going to reflect when you actually go to put it on and make your final result center cap. Okay, so you got to be careful. You can't pry these out. Trust me, I tried. Not worth the risk. You got to cut it out. Okay, so that is what we are going to be doing. We are going to be cutting the center caps out of the Type-Rs, and we are going to be essentially getting them to this state to put on our original caps. Okay, so I also tried, if you see these two caps here, I cut the edge off of both of those. Okay, now I thought maybe if I just cut the edge smooth, I would be able to get a better chance at putting something underneath there to still try to pry it out. So I initially just tried to pry it out in this full, you know, fully intact state. Didn't work. Tried to cut that edge, pry it out. As you can see, I tried twice. I was really trying for it. Didn't work, guys. You cannot get under there cleanly without potentially risking or damaging the actual emblem, which is what you need from this cap. We don't need any of this. We don't need any part of this cap. All we need is the emblem, and it's not worth risking it just being lazy trying to get it out easily. So unfortunately, we have to cut it out. And as you can see, that is what happened with each of these. I cut it out from the back. Okay, so there is the one. You can see a perfect cutout. Next one, perfect cutout, and so on and so forth. This was the last one I did, just pretty, obviously I'm getting better at it. It was just one clean cut, boom, 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 boom. And no need to cut that. Obviously I was just trying to pry it like I mentioned, but this is all you need to do is cut out this. The cap will come out on this 3M, and then we just remove this from the emblem, and you got yourself a fresh Type-R emblem for your center cap. All right, there we go, guys. Really straightforward. It's not the easiest thing. You just got to take your time, be careful, but we're going to go ahead and get into actually cutting the cap out. This last cap here, we're going to cut this out on camera, so that way you have a full understanding of how to do it, and you could do this yourself, and you'll have some custom OEM Type-R styled caps for your Sport or your SI, guys. So let's get into it. All right, guys, here is our Type-R center cap, and what we are going to do is cut out that badge and get that thing completely separated from the cap itself so we can utilize it for our OEM caps. All right, so that's what we're looking at. Now, the first thing we want to do is tape out this Honda emblem. Now, do you have to do this? No, but I would say you have to do it, because just to potentially, you know, avoid any issues or any scratches of messing this up while you're doing it. Because if you're, you know, cutting this from the back, it's going to be creating plastic dust, which can be a little bit sharp. And the last thing you want this thing doing is moving and sliding on sharp dust from plastic. So it will scratch it up. It's not worth it. Take a little bit of tape. I just got some yellow painter's tape, 3M. I'm going to tape this whole thing out. I'm going to take a plastic razor blade and tuck in around the edges. My goal is to completely cover this from the sides to the front with a few layers of tape to protect it while we're cutting it out. It takes 3 to 5 minutes. It's well worth the investment to not have any potentially scratches or issues or anything happen to that while you're doing this job. Tape it out, first step. Don't risk it. Let's get into it. All right, guys, so all I'm doing is just taking a little bit of this yellow painter's tape. All right, just putting it on. Also have plastic razor blades. You're going to need plastic razor blades in this project for a couple different reasons. So invest in some plastic razor blades. You can get them very cheap off of Amazon. Great tool to have for a ton of automotive applications. They are amazing. I use them all the time. Get some plastic razor blades. You're going to need them. Okay, so that's how we're going to tuck in the edge with the plastic razor blade, just to really get that nicely taped out. So I'm going to do like 3 or 4 layers. Just keep cutting little pieces and putting it around till it's fully covered, and then we'll have this taped out, and then we can get into cutting it out. All right, so I got my few layers of painter's tape around this center cap here. Now, doesn't have to be perfect. We're not packing paint and spraying this down for a perfect edge. We are simply just trying to protect it. You just want it pretty good around the edge so that it's all protected. Doesn't have to be the sexiest tape job you've ever seen. Just some layers to protect it all the way around, as I have it right here. Good enough to protect it, and that's all we need for when it's flipped over and we are cutting out this center cap. All right, so what we need to do is cut in this inner edge. All right, so you can see where it looks like a Honda emblem. That's basically our lines that we're going to be following. We're just going to cut here, 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 and here. Okay, that is the cuts we're going to be making. So what I'm going to be utilizing is a Dremel with a cutting wheel. Okay, you just need a Dremel tool. I have a Dremel 3000 right here with a cutting wheel on it. This is actually a plastic cutting wheel. You can get different cutting wheel kits from Lowe's, Home Depot, all that, but this is the tool I would recommend using. So you either want a Dremel or something virtually identical that has a nice thin cutting wheel, because that is what we're going to be doing. We're going to be cutting each line as accurate as possible with the Dremel, and that's how we're going to cut out that emblem out of the center cap. All right, so yes, you will need a Dremel or a tool similar in order to do this. So let's go ahead and get this thing cut out. All right, guys, I just have a paper floor mat in my lap for, you know, dust collection and protection, and this is another reason why I suggest taping it, because look at all those little plastic sharp shavings that are already on it, and all I did was put it down. Granted, you can, you know, dust this off and use it more than, or you know, use a new one every time you do a cap. But I mean, once you start cutting, this dust is going to occur, and then you could potentially scratch it. So tape it up. It's really not that hard. All right, so as mentioned, we're just going to be following that inner Honda emblem outline, and that is what we're going to be cutting along with our Dremel in order to get this separated and get that emblem off of the center cap. Okay, so you don't need to go crazy. I usually have it at about 6. All right, and what I want to do is just go around each edge. All right, making my lines. I'm going to need both hands, so I can't start cutting right now, unfortunately, but you know, you're just gonna get in there and start cutting. All right, so I'll set the camera up real quick. You guys can watch me do this, and then hopefully it'll give you the confidence to do this yourself, because it's really not that hard. So let's get this cut out. All right, guys, I hope you can see here, but all I'm gonna do is come in and start making my lines. All right, so I'm just cutting along that edge. Now remember, this actual body of this cap is completely irrelevant. It has no use, no purpose. So yes, we're going to be cutting into these tabs. Yes, it's going to get cut up. Yes, it's trash when it's done. So don't think you're salvaging this and you can, you know, you shouldn't be cutting these or anything like that. It doesn't matter. Alright guys, so if you can see, I basically have my 4 lines cut out in the inner part of that outline. Okay, so you can see where they are. I just like to kind of set them up first so I know where I'm cutting, and then from here we can just start cutting and getting down to where we need to cut to. Now when you're making these lines, you can see it's not that deep. You got to tread very carefully, take your time. It's not a race. You got to take your time when you're doing this next part, because what you're doing is you're cutting this down until you break through the plastic. And once you see black, a little bit of 3M, you got to stop immediately, because if you keep going, you're going to cut in and damage the emblem. Okay, so we're basically just cutting in to the plastic. So once this gray cuts out, you'll start seeing the black, which is the charcoal color from the actual 3M. You got to stop the second it's exposed. Okay, so you just got to tread carefully, take your time, just go slowly, and I'll show you what it looks like once that, you know, 3M is exposed, so you got an idea of when to stop. But you really got to be careful. Just take your time, you know, go in, go out, go in, go out, and then you'll see that 3M eventually come to light. And then once you get to that point, you stop, and then you just want that whole edge all the way around to the point where it's at the 3M, not the smallest spot further, and then we can get it out. So let's go ahead and cut the rest of this out. All right, there we go. I don't know if you can see it. I can't really tell from the camera, but there we go. It is broken through pretty much all from here, where this orange dot is, all the way to about the end of that Sharpie marking right there. So we got the 3M exposed. Okay, now you really got to tread carefully in these corners. Almost don't even cut them completely, because right here where you see that edge almost meets, the edge of this cutout meets the edge of this outer circle right here. So you can see that right there. That is where the corner of the emblem is. And if you catch that with the Dremel, it will damage it and it will show through on the other side of the emblem. So, you know, do not get really rowdy in these corners. About where I have it is almost where you want it. I might hit it a hair more in here and on this side, but you got to be careful in these corners. Do not go all the way, because you will hit the edge of the emblem and then you'll ruin it. So pretty much just stick to the middles of each of these lines, and you know, just kind of get this started to cut away, but not all the way through virtually in each corner. So from like here to here. So you see that little square on each corner is about where you just want to leave a little bit of plastic. Don't cut through. Okay, don't cut through there. All right, so there we go, guys. We're going to go ahead and cut the rest of this out, and then I'll show you how you pop this thing off. All right, guys, here we have what the center cap should look like, all finalized and cut up. It's going to be a little hard to tell because there's some, you know, plastic dust in where you can see the 3M, but all that black is where we cut to. Like I said, I left the corners with a little bit of plastic in them, you know, basically like that much, just so I don't cut into the emblem, because if you look right here, it's going to be hard to see, but in that corner right up against that tab, I did break through, okay? And I didn't hit the emblem, but I just got enough into that plastic where you can see that emblem. So that's how close you are to that emblem, right there, when you're cutting these corners. So that's why I suggest leaving a little bit, and it does make it a little bit harder to remove, because what we're going to have to do now is press this out, okay? So I don't know if you can see here, but you can probably see that bending out. See that? So we're pretty much just going to push it out. You kind of got to find the weakest corner and then, you know, break it around from there. I mean, that's how I did the other ones. They didn't fight me too bad. This one seems to be a little bit more fighting than the rest, of course, because I'm recording it. But let's get this thing popped out, guys, and I'll show you how to finalize it. There we go, guys. Woo. She was fighting. She was fighting hard, but we got it out. Another reason I would suggest taping it up, but you can see like how it broke free on all the corners. So look at our corners, we're good. We didn't hit any of them. Looks really good. So now what we're going to do is get this bad boy out of our way. It is trash, as I mentioned, but as you can see, we have the badge here free. You just have the cutout of the actual remainder of the center cap where this is 3M'd on. So this badge is just 3M'd onto the center cap, and this is where it's at. And the reason we cut it is to be able to get this off without prying on the edges of this badge. So if we just shove something underneath, as I said in the beginning, of the center cap, there's like no space. You can't get anything in there safely without chewing the edge of this badge up. So to avoid that is why we cut this out, free it up, and then we're going to get this off now, because we can get behind it and have space without chewing the edge of it up. So what we're going to do is heat this up. It's 3M. When you heat 3M up, it comes off. You know what I mean? It helps it out a lot to free up. So we're going to just take a hair dryer. I'm going to heat this up for about a minute, and then we're going to shove a plastic razor blade underneath of it, and we're going to get it free, and then we'll have the emblem completely separated and free, ready for install on our OEM SI or Sport center caps. Let's get it off. Okay guys, I'm just going to go around the edge and just start shoving this plastic razor blade in there. And you need it warm, like I said, for about a minute for it to be, you know, gooey and loose enough for you to be able to do this. Alright, so you can see I'm getting it in there. You can even try shoving it in like this. Once you start creating that space, shove it in from the side. You just want to tear through as much of that 3M as you possibly can. See that? I'm just even wrapping around the edge here. Just really trying to tear through all the 3M possible. Alright? So, want to go around the entire edge, free it up as much as you possibly can. You can hear it breaking free. Sorry, the camera's kind of slipping down on me, guys. Trying to do this. Hold the camera between my legs and do this at the same time. Not the easiest thing in the world, but we're getting it done out here. Alright, so almost in there for the last section here. Just want to make sure I got as much in there as possible, you know. Alright, now I got it to the point where we can go ahead and start getting this off. See, I'm just pulling on it by hand. You want to do most of this with your hand and a little bit with the plastic razor blade. You don't want to use anything metal, anything sharp, anything hard that will dig in or gouge the badge. So you can hear this separating. Alright, hear it. And there it is. Got that off. And then the 3M really should come off mostly with the cap. It's been my experience with the 4 that I've done. There we go, guys. That is completely off. Now, we can go ahead and take our tape off now. But you can see, just for a quick visual, this is the center cap here, and then this is what we're cutting out. This is how the center cap really looks. You know, they're just 3M'ing these red Honda emblems onto the Type-R center cap. So it's just 3M. Like I said, this is now trash. We don't need this anymore. We have no use for it, and it's all cut up, so nothing you can do with it. But what we can do is take our yellow tape now off of our Honda red emblem, and I believe it should look super fresh under here. And this is why you tape it, so you don't compromise it in the process of removing it from the center cap. All right, so there we go, guys. Look at that, fresh as can be. And there you have your red Honda emblem for your OEM center cap, guys. So there we go. So this is how you remove the red Honda emblem badge from a Type-R center cap, guys. Let's get into modifying the OEM caps so that we can put these on our OEM caps and have some fully assembled brand new Type-R style red Honda emblem caps. Alright guys, so earlier in the video I touched base on what we're doing in this project, which was obviously removing the Type-R style red Honda emblem, and we are going to be putting it on the correct size OEM cap. Alright, so as I mentioned, I have an 11th SI, so I have the matte caps, but if you have a sport model, you would have the polished gloss caps. Now I also touched base on earlier in the video that we're just going to be removing the Honda emblem from the back, and then that'll give us the clear, you know, flat, fresh surface for the Honda emblem. Now, I was just about to get ready to show you guys how to remove this Honda emblem to look like that, to remove the chrome Honda emblem from this cap, and I was like, what if there's a better way? I was thinking about it, and I was like, what if this center red emblem fit over the Honda badge? And guess what, guys? It does. So if you're looking at this, it fits about 95%, and I mean, it's pretty tight, and I'm barely holding it on there. All right, so this thing all but snaps on, and it's almost like a perfect fit. So I was initially just going to 3M it on like that, but honestly, it makes more sense, and I think it comes out better because I've already done a couple. I think it comes out better with leaving the chrome badge in, and it'll keep it centered for you. So this is already centered. It centers the badge for you. And my only big beef, I guess you can say, with this project was this has some depth to it, if you can see it from the side. So there's a good amount of space. One layer of 3M tape isn't enough. It actually needed about 3. Now that this badge is in place and you snap this on, you could get away with 1, but I did 2. So I did 2 of these already. I got 2 finalized products, which I will show, of course, but I did 2 layers of 3M to really get that thing dialed in. Now you need to use some good 3M tape, which I'm going to review here in a second, but this is what we're going to do, guys. I initially said that, and I was thinking about doing that, but after doing some thinking, this makes the most sense because this is almost like a direct fit over the existing badge. So you just pop that on there with some 3M, and then you got yourself a Type-R styled red Honda emblem center cap. Look at that. It actually looks amazing, guys. So let's get this 3M'd up. I'll review some 3M options and all that, and we'll get this thing finalized. All right, guys, so as mentioned, we need to double-sided tape this badge onto the center cap. All right, so there are many double-sided tape, 3M, you know, Scotch, all different brand options of double-sided tape. Now I would suggest using a very good automotive application. You could probably get away with 06384. I've used this in many applications. It's pretty strong. Honestly though, if what I used and what I am using and what I would suggest using is this. This is a little bit more expensive, but this is stronger than the 84. This is 06388. If you call 3M, they'll tell you that this is stronger. You can only get it in, you know, bigger rolls, and it's pretty pricey. It's like I want to say 80 bucks maybe for this. It was a lot, but you got like the lifetime supply here. You'll have it forever. and it really is super durable and strong. So the 06384 is a good option. I mean, you'll probably have no problems with it if you decided to utilize this, but I would suggest that, and that is what I'm using on this application. So that's just my opinion. Take it for what it's worth. If you got another option that you like, feel free to utilize it and, you know, say what you use. But this stuff, it'll, you know, you can glue humans together with it. So I would say this is what we'll be using. So let's go ahead and get that badge 3M'd onto the center cap. All right, so we got the badge here. We're gonna go ahead and flip it over. Now I did a test cut, and this is how I did each one. So you just have the right size, you know, do a test cut, get the right size, and then we're gonna put it on here and then cut the according size out, and we're gonna use 3 strips. So 3 strips of this size, 1/2, fit perfectly down this, and this is how I went about it. So all right guys, so I got my test cut here. What I'm going to do is put it right where I stopped last, put it on the roll. Now here's a little trick you can utilize if you use 3M. It's almost fail safe. If you have a nice sharp, this is actually a shaving razor, I would suggest using these. This is a, you know, nice shaving razor for a shaving blade. You simply press it and it cuts right through it, and then you can pull your piece off, and then bang, you got yourself a fresh piece of 3M, perfect cut, even, ready to go. So like I said, this is a shaving razor blade. They are extremely sharp. Test piece to measure each one evenly so all of them stay the same, and then we could go ahead and put this onto the emblem. All right guys, you got it flipped over to the back. Make sure you clean this well, you know what I mean. Put some isopropyl, like 70% isopropyl alcohol, you know, clean it up, let it dry nice. We got our cut here. Like I said, you can fit 3 pieces of this if you go right to the top edge like that. So you just want to get one in there, press it in, and then I'm going to cut 2 more, press them in, and we'll have 1 layer of 3M in here ready for application. Now, like I mentioned earlier, you can get away with just using 1 layer. It will grab. In my opinion, it's a better, tighter fit and nicer, more secure with 2. So we're going to do 1 row and then do another row on top, totaling 6 of these pieces. So 1, 2, 3, and then another 1, 2, 3 on top. That is my suggestion. And if you're using the 06388, the really strong 3M, the bond that it makes between the 2 pieces, it's really amazing. So it ends up being a really secure, you know, final product. So I would recommend the 2 layers. That's what I'm doing. So let's go ahead. I'm going to get a couple more cut up, and then we'll get this thing all ready for mounting. All right, so got my 3 strips in there of the 3M. All right, so now all I'm going to do is I'm going to take a razor blade and just peel back the red adhesive cover. All right, and I'm going to pull off all 3, and then we're going to put 1 more layer of 3M on top of this one. All right, so we're just going to take all this off, separate it. I did press it down really good, nice, and, you know, rub my thumb across it to make sure that's in there nice and good, and that's how that just came off easily. You can see how well that's in there. So we're going to pull off the other 2, add 3 more strips, and then this will be ready to put on the center cap. All right guys, as you can see, all 3 strips are off in there nice and tight. Got another one. We're just going to do another layer. So we're just going to do 3 more strips as even as possible. Just going to lay it right in on top of the first piece, just like so. And I'm going to do the next 2, and then we'll have all 3 of the top layer all in, and then it'll be ready for installation, guys. So let's get the rest of this 3M in and put this badge on. All right guys, second row already good to go. So press the second row in really nice and tight on top of the first one. It bonds really well, so we got pretty much 1 thick nice layer of 3M to keep that even, and it mounts perfect right onto the badge, which is a little bit raised up from the center cap. All right, so just make sure you get your thumb in there, press it in everywhere in the corners nice and tight. We're gonna go ahead and take a razor blade, rip off the red adhesion lining right there, and we'll get that off. And all we got to do is press this thing onto the new center cap, guys, and we got some fresh Type-R style center cap. So let's get this thing on. All right, so here is our OEM center cap, and we have the Type-R badge all ready to go. 2 layers, all pressed in nice and tight. All that needs to happen is us pressing this badge right over the center cap. So I'm going to go ahead and put the camera up, and we'll get this thing pressed on, and then we'll have a nice new center cap ready to go. All right, so there is our OEM center cap. All we're doing is basically overlaying this. So just take your time, drop it over as even as possible. You want to look for the side, from the side, and just press it over and around. And it almost locks itself in. It's crazy. It was like, it's meant to be. That's what made this project even better. I was like, wow, once I figured out we could leave this badge on and really put this over it, I mean, it's like, it was like it's meant to be. It's like these are a perfect overlay over the existing chrome badge. So what we're gonna do is just press this on nice and gently. Just gonna put some firm, even pressure on it. All right, so I'm just pressing it between my hands, as you can see. Sorry, the camera is fumbling all over, but you know, just pressing it down, really trying to get it nice and tight on all spots, edges, everything. Just want to make sure it bonds well. Okay, now this is pretty good. What I'm going to do is put it in the sun. I already have the other two I did in the sun. We're just going to let it sit in the sun, and then once it sits in the sun and gets a little bit warm, I'm going to press them one more time and then bring them in the house into a controlled climate and let them cure, essentially. So that'll really get them on there nice and tight, and they should really have a good bond at that point. So that's what we're going to do, guys. You can see this is basically done. That's what we're looking at. It comes out really nice, perfectly centered, because we're utilizing the OEM centerage off the existing badge. It works out perfect, man. I couldn't be happier with the results of these, and I think you will as well if you decide to go this route. So there we go, guys. Looking good. Just have one more to do, and then I'll have a brand new set of 4 OEM Type-R style center caps for the 11th gen SI and Sport. All right, so we're back to the container workbench here. Now, a couple things I want to note. So, as you can see, we got our 3 completed ones right there. All right, so that's all the good ones. Perfect, ready to go. Now, the first one I did was kind of like a lab rat, you know what I mean? It was simply a test dummy, and it didn't go 100% perfect. So I took one Type-R, you know, cut it up, and trying to figure out how to get the badge out, I didn't just use a cutting wheel. I also put a drill bit end on the Dremel and try to get the corners. Okay, so like I tried to get in these corners here, which I recommended against doing, and this is why. So if we look at the original one that I cut, which is this one, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a little dot right there. I drilled through the back, unfortunately, and if you barely touch it, it didn't come all the way through. It just touched the chrome. And if you touched any of that color, any of the chrome, it just wears it right off from the back. Now, I hit a few other spots. And if you can see, I put some touch-up paint on it from the back, and it is perfect. Like it fixes it perfect. So this was my test dummy, just from doing a little bit, I don't want to say aggressive cutting, but a little bit of unexperienced cutting in this particular application. It yielded some opportunity for, you know, mishaps. So this thing was not perfect. Okay, being that that wasn't perfect, it's good, not perfect. I was like, you know, I want to buy one more and I'm going to get it perfect. Okay, so as you can see, we have 5 Type-R badges here now. I bought another one, and I did have to buy another OEM one because if you remember in the initial one I did cut it out. So I did buy another one to fix that issue, because as you know, we're just popping the Type-R badges right over the OEM emblem. Okay, so there is the fresh one that's ready to go. So I have 5 and 5 all together. Now here's the issue. I just cut out that new Type-R badge I got, and unfortunately this thing actually came damaged. So I got this thing cut out to perfection, but if you can see right there, it has like a warp in it. All right, and that edge right where my thumb is, it's literally like a warped edge. It is not perfect at all. And when it's sunken in onto the Type-R badge, you really couldn't see it. But most definitely is not right. And I mean, this isn't from me cutting. This isn't from me, as you could see. It's like a warp in the edge. That's not a cutting mistake. That's not from me. That's how it came. So unfortunately for me, I got a defective one straight out of the freaking package, and I had no idea until I pulled it out. I didn't even notice it. So that is a potential possibility, apparently. I doubt this is going to be a common occurrence. It's probably just my luck, but yeah, cut that out, got it perfectly cut out just to find out it is damaged. So I'll be honest, I don't want to buy another one. I really don't. So what I did is I took the original one, touched it up, and I think I'm just going to use this. This little thing is probably going to drive me crazy, I'm not going to lie, and I'll probably end up making another one in the near future, but just for the sake of this video, I'm going to use it, and we're going to use that as our final one to create and make our fourth cap, okay? And in my opinion, this damage is more prominent than what's on that because the edge is visible once it's on our finalized custom cap. So if we look at it, you will see that damage, and that's, in my opinion, way more prominent of damage than just that one little speck right there. And I mean, this thing looks pretty perfect outside of that one speck up there in the corner. Okay, so not the end of the world. Looks 98%. It just has that little bit of damage in that corner, and I fixed all the red with touch up, and you would never ever know anything happened to it. The only thing was we got that little dot in the chrome, which nothing I can do about that, unfortunately. So there we go, guys. That is our final product. Just want to note that did get this one damaged straight out of the package. That badge was not perfect. They shouldn't have utilized that at the factory. So being that that is the case, we're just going to go ahead and utilize the initial one I cut out. It's not terrible, and we're going to make it happen, guys. So there we go. We're just about wrapped up here. I just got to 3M this up, apply it to our last cap, and we have a set of 4 Type-R style center caps for our 11th. All right, so here is our final 4. So there we go. Like I said, I did have the one that was my lab rat test dummy that I just ended up making one out of with that dot that's in that corner. Like I said, it's probably going to drive me crazy. So I did end up ordering one more Type-R cap and one more regular cap. So I'm going to end up with 5 of these. For the time being, I'm just going to, you know, rock that one maybe for a couple days and for the purpose of this video. So, but yeah, that's where we're at. So, you know, got all 4 of these made. All of them are ready for install, ready to go. I will have my 5th one, you know, probably any day now. So I'm not going to put these on today, but maybe by the time the new one comes in, I might not even get the opportunity to put this one on with the damage. But it's so minuscule, guys. I mean, it's just that one dot. Nobody really would ever notice, you know what I mean? But I did order a new one, so I will have 4 fresh ones all together. But there we have it, guys. That is our custom center caps made out of the Type-R and the OEM center caps. All right, so time to get these things installed. All right, guys, I'm here at the driver's side. I have the car jacked up. You can jack it up, put it on jack stands, you know, throw a jack under there. Whatever makes you feel comfortable. I'm going to risk it all and just leave the jack there. We'll be all right. But we're just going to go ahead and fire this wheel off so we can pop the center cap off and then get the new cap in. It's really easy. We're just taking the wheel off, putting it back on. It is a 19 mil, okay? So car probably has a wheel lock. Might be a good idea to crack that wheel nut free while it's on the ground. Also, with the lug nuts, if you don't have an impact, before you jack it up, break the lug nuts free, jack it up, and then remove the lug nuts. I actually have an impact, okay? So I will be using an impact to fire out the lug nuts. Like I said, it is a 19 mil. So I have a 19 mil here on my impact. Just gonna get in here, sneak in. And I'm just gonna fire all 5 of these lug nuts right out. All right, guys, you can see all 5 lug nuts are removed. Might just have to give it a little persuasion. I'll just hit it right at the top of the tire and wheel is off. All right, so we have the wheel off here. I want to go ahead and wash it and clean it up before I put it back on. But before I do that, we'll pop this center cap off. So it's really easy. All I'm going to do is set the wheel straight up. All right, so all right, guys, I put the camera down because this one's fighting me, of course. And I thought it'd be a little bit easier where I can use both hands and you can see what I'm doing. All right, it's really easy to pop the cap out. I typically just can use 2 fingers and pop it out from the back. Of course, because we're on camera, this one's going to fight me. So I'm just taking a pair of wire cutters really that has a nice rubber end on it. I'm going to use that to push it out from the back. So I'm just going to lightly tap it with these handles. Use a flat head, whatever. And you can see it just pops right out. All right, so literally just took this, popped it right out from the back. A lot of times you can take your 2 fingers and pop it out. This one was A little bit sturdy, guys, so she didn't want to come out, but we got it. All right, guys, our new cap here. Just gonna pop in. I'm gonna try to put the camera between my knees here so I can have both hands. It's a little bit more helpful, but you just want to press it straight in. It's really easy. All right, so that's all you got to do. Wheels clean. Let's get this thing back on. All right, guys, we got all 4 center caps on, and let me say, in my opinion, they look way better on the car than they do off. All right, so we went from this to this. All OEM parts, basically an original OEM center cap, guys. I think it came out amazing. Disregard how dirty the car is. It got rained on and it's been sitting for a few days, but you can get that full effect of the center caps. And we got a guest here. This is Tish. What's up, Tish? How you doing? You can disregard the flip-flops as well. But yeah, they came out absolutely amazing, guys. Look great, and honestly, I couldn't be happier. So there we have it. All right, guys, and just for reference, you don't have to necessarily buy the factory caps if you don't want to. If you just want to not take off the wheel and be lazy with it, you could just take out the Type-R emblems, 3M it up as I did, and you can just go ahead and 3M it on right onto your wheel without actually taking the wheel off and removing the center cap. So if you want to buy separate center caps and keep your OEMs unmolested, you're going to have to do it exactly how I outlined in the video. But if you want to keep these OEM caps and you just want to pop the Type-R badge off and come up and 3M it, you can do that. You don't necessarily have to buy a separate cap or take the wheel off. You could simply 3M the Honda emblem once you get it off and just come up and install it. All right. All right, guys, so I hope this helped all my fellow 11th gen SI and Sport owners get a nice Type-R style center cap that's really all but original. All original parts, original cap. This is really an OEM cap. So I hope this helped give it a nice clean OEM option for your car. And make sure you stay tuned because you never know when I might be doing another project on this thing. And until next time, guys.